The word phablets has been floating around a lot for the past year or two in the technology community, meeting the demands for people who want a tablet feel with all the abilities of a phone. While some people might think they're just too big and look obscene in your hand, they're becoming more and more popular by the week, with all the biggest Android phone makers now providing their own. These include the third generation of Samsung's Galaxy Note, the Xperia Z Ultra and the brand new HTC One Max. Firstly, the Max is like HTC's hugely popular One on steroids. It rocks the same beautiful metal frame, but measuring 164.5 by 82.5 by 10.29mm. There are a few crucial changes though, and they're mostly for the better. There's a fingerprint sensor on the back which lets you quick launch apps depending on which finger you swipe. The power lock button is on the side rather than the top, and you can remove the backplate adding your own micro SD card, giving you 64GB of extra storage if you need it. And it's far more handsome than the plasticky Galaxy Note. But with its premium ornate chassis, it's also a tad more delicate, something to consider if you do have butterfingers. And the HTC One Max is definitely large, that much is obvious, but it didn't have to be. Samsung's new Galaxy Note 3 for instance has a display that measures just 0.1 inches less across diagonally, but the bezel at the top and bottom is substantially shorter, so much so in fact that it's closer to the HTC One in size than the Max. As a result, the One Max feels needlessly dom-jolly and trigger-happy oversized. You won't want to take calls on it that often. It really is too big and more importantly too impractical for all but die-hard fans. At this size, Samsung's design decision of a thin plastic shell and bezel really helped give the Galaxy Note an edge. The HTC One may have been the best smartphone of the year under 5 inches, but sadly its bigger brother is not the best phablet. So with that in mind, we weren't too hopeful for the Xperia Z Ultra, which is even bigger. However, big it might be, but the Z Ultra is thin, and we mean really thin. At 6.5mm, it's one of the thinnest smartphones out there. It also runs Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean with Sony's own UI skinned over the top. And with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 2.2 GHz quad-core processor, it runs like a breeze whilst browsing the web or playing games. And on the back there's an 8MP camera capable of shooting 1080p Full HD video. And on the front there's a 2MP camera for video calling. Neither of them are the best cameras out there, but they perform admirably nonetheless. One thing's for sure though, there's a lot of phone here, and it definitely borders more on the tablet side than phone, and most people wouldn't want this on the side of their head making calls. But if you can get over that, you'll soon realise that the screen is just a delight, with vivid and crisp pictures whilst playing video. And being waterproof makes this a pretty unique sell. Finally is Samsung's Galaxy Note 3. The display comes in at 5.7 inches, so it's a bit more manageable, and because it's Super AMOLED, the screen is crystal clear as well. And with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor, there's not many phones that come in quicker, breezing through web pages, apps and games. And like all good handsets, it's got a camera to shout about. The 13MP sensor is decent enough, managing good shots in average light and excellent ones in brighter conditions. But the standout feature here is that the camera shoots in 4K resolution during video mode, which looks just stunning played back through the phone, but if you want to see it in all of its 4K glory, you'll have to fork out for a 4K TV, which unfortunately don't come very cheap at the moment. As tablet phone hybrids go, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 is hard to beat, and is probably the strongest of the three main phablets. The screen is unbelievable, processing power is unmatched, and 4K video is a treat, and having the S Pen stylus is an added bonus for apps with handwriting recognition. If you're after a supersized phone, our favourite is the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, but that doesn't mean that the other two are underperforming by any shape of the imagination.